It's the night before the last match of the season. We catch up with Glasgow City's CJ and Susie and find out whether they have any last-minute nerves.
I'm not actually playing in the match tomorrow. I've been out injured for a long time and I've not really get back into it the last couple of months. But I'm going to watch them, so hopefully I'll be able to excite the girls up a wee bit, give them a bit of encouragement and stuff. That's really about it. That's all I can do, you know.
Both of us have been subs for the majority of the season, so the preparation for us is much the same as it is every Saturday. Just if you're talking about sort of what we do prior to it, it's just like rest and plenty to eat something. But for us, it's harder as well because you're a sub. You have to work harder in your fitness. You have to work harder in your sort of mental attitude as well, because it's harder to come on halfway through a game or 20 minutes towards the end of a game. So in some ways, I would play the game in my head first and have some sort of mental preparation before it as well, just to get myself switched on for it, because I find it hard just to come onto a game and just switch on. So it takes me about 10 minutes to come in. But we're a positive team, we're very positive thinking, and I think that's one of the sort of strengths for the team as well.
Definitely. Good bunch of girls.
We're always having a good chance, we're a good team. We've proved that throughout the whole season, but again, like last week, if we don't work together as a team and work to our strengths, then it's like any game, you won't win it then. But I really feel that everybody's fired up for the last game of the season and that we're all wanting to prove ourselves. I think it's been a very up and down season, to be honest. We tend to sort of be lifting ourselves for the big games, the Stenhouse Muir games, the Ayr games, and we play really well because we really sort of get ourselves up for it. Whereas some of the other games we've been a wee bit complacent and we could have played a lot better. So it's been a roller coaster season, but it's our first season in the Premier League. So we're pleased with where we're going to finish, and we'll be hoping to obviously better that next year.
Last season obviously it was easy for us. Well, I won't say easy, but we worked well and we won every game. So when we came up this season, I feel as if we thought, right, we're going to just go and we're going to cruise it and we're going to win most of our games, but it hasn't been like that. You know, we've played a good few games, but the majority of them has been very mediocre, and I'm not really that impressed with the progress. I think we could do a lot better. Just seem to be lacking in something, but I'm not sure what it is.
I think in some ways the only pressure is the pressure that we put upon ourselves, in the way that we want to prove, as I said last week, that the poor result we had against Hearts getting beat, that we want to sort of play better and we want to sort of finish the season in a high as well. But in some ways as well, it's more relaxing as well, because the last few games that we've had, we've been playing against Ayr United, who are one of the best teams in Scotland. So there's been a lot of pressure on the club and on the teams to play well. So in some ways it's nice to go out and we know that, yeah, we're going to finish about 5th in the league, and there's no sort of it's not like we're playing for relegation or we're playing for promotion. So in some ways it's going to be more relaxing, but there's a lot of individuals in the team that are going to be out to still prove themselves to Peter and to prove themselves to the other players at the committee.
Of course we still want to win, and the CJ says go out in a high, but I think the pressure's off a little bit,
Definitely.
But hopefully we'll get the result.
I don't have any fears about tomorrow at all. I don't think any of the girls have, again, because it's the last game of the season. They just want to go out and they just want to play well.
Enjoy the football.
Because that's basically what it's all about. But no great fears, because it's not, as I say, we're not going to go down if we lose tomorrow. I think if we win the match, we've all got to take stock of the season, but we've also got to see, it's like any club at the end of any season. People will be moving on. People might be sort of wanting to be signed next year in the club. People in the club might be disheartened with what's actually happening in the club, might want to move on. So there's a lot of decisions to be made by a lot of individual players and also by the manager as well, because we all want to be in a club that we're all going towards the same vision and the same goal for. And if for some players that isn't it, then it'll be time for some players to leave the club.
Nicky Kite, who plays for Glasgow City, used to work at the Marina in her summer holidays. She now works there full-time alongside her dad.
I've worked here probably on and off for about 5 or 6 years. I type letters, open the mail, I do the wages on the Friday. A bit of everything really. answer the phone, just everything. This isn't what I studied when I was at university or whatever, but it's obviously my dad's company and he's keen to get me and my brother involved, so I don't know, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. No, my football doesn't interfere with my career because this is a 9 to 5 job. If I could play football full time, I think I would give up my job, yeah. My dad's always been very enthusiastic. He's always encouraged me to play football. When I was younger, he used to take me down to training. He used to play in press, which was about 40 minutes. Him and Mum used to take turns to take me down to training twice a week, and obviously for the game on a Sunday. So they've always encouraged me. Supports the team as well by sponsoring them. So he's been great, yeah.
I cannot give any tips to Nicky, no, because I cannot play football at all. I like to watch it, but that's about it. Women's football really should be brought forward more often. We have got women in every sport, tennis, nowadays boxing, and why not women's football? It's play almost as good as men can. They certainly put the effort into it, and I think it's wonderful to watch. My initial response of Nicky's interest in football was a bit shocking, or rather, a girly girl. But apart from that, she picked up when she was about 11, 12. And I was hoping maybe it dies down a little bit when 16 to 17, and she stuck to it, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. It really works out very well. Working with my daughter is superb. She's working that hard, she's almost invisible in the office at the moment. What else can I say with it? We're very, very lucky, I suppose. Some families can't work together, but we can, and it's absolutely wonderful. Supporting Nicky, if girls' football was more lucrative, I would certainly would help her as much as she can, support her. I think it's absolutely superb if that would happen, but I cannot see that for a few years to come yet. What else can I say? I'd rather she goes sailing if she can't make it, so the family gets together. I've asked a few times Nicky to sort of, sort of football, if you can call it that way, or forget about the football for a bit and come with us for a few weeks. But not Nicky. Stubborn like a mother probably. So we just have to live with that, I suppose. But the sailing is a fantastic sport as well, of course. But football is Nicky's life, and I'm very, very supportive, and I would wish her very luck in future.
Susan Maxwell, or Maxie as she's known to her teammates, works for the British Transport Police. It's the day of the Scottish Cup final with rival teams Aberdeen versus Rangers. Max's job is to maintain law and order at the central station when the fans start coming in.
Well, prior to joining the British Transport Police, I was actually in the forces for 3 years. I was a traffic warden for a couple of years, or a couple of months should I say, so I must have a fetish for uniforms, I think. I do think that football allows you to let off steam. I know that you haven't seen any of our games, but I'm probably one of the most vocal out of the whole team. And I think if you see my sort of antics on the park, then yeah, it definitely does let me let off steam. In general, all the guys and the bosses have been very supportive. I mean, I've been playing football since I joined this job, and I've managed to play just about every single week by getting time off work to do it. And they do take the mickey a wee bit. They think I'm sort of the Jim Baxter of women's football, and I went from playing up front to midfield, so I think another couple of seasons and I'll be in defence and then I'll be left out altogether. So yeah, go to stick. What attracts me to football, I would say that the fact that I come from a footballing family. My dad and I've got 3 older brothers, all of whom support football. Well, I don't know whether they support Park at Christmas, but I don't know whether that counts as football. And they've always encouraged me, so I think from an early age I was always taken to the games. got quite a big squad. I think we've got about, on paper, about 24 players, but it's very, very hard to keep 24 players happy because you can only pay 11 at any one stage. So I think there'll be quite a lot of movement in the summer, and time will tell. My current role means that I do mostly 8 to 4 Monday to Friday with the occasional weekend thrown in, so it's not too bad. I just enjoy having the weekends off at the moment, it's quite good. But it causes a little bit of resentment from the people that work shifts. I think, like I say, we can finish 4th, but I think if we were going for 1st or 2nd place, or you were still involved in a cup competition, or there was something high to aim for at the end of the season, then you would maintain that level of commitment. But I think when you're just sort of going for 4th place, then, and you're not keeping 24 people happy every single week, then you are going to get people not turning up. It's all about self-motivation, I suppose. Many will come through the station, but the stadium holds 52,000 and it's a sellout, and we've been encouraging people to travel by public transport, so a vast majority will come either via here. Be here until I get the word from the boss to go to Mount Florida, which is the main station for Rangers fans, probably up to about the back of 1, and then we'll go to the main station till after the match and then bring them back to Glasgow Central.
Kenny Montgomery is a freelance journalist and knows a thing or two about women's football. We sent Laura along to check out just how knowledgeable he is.
So have you reported much in women's football?
I followed the Scotland national team this season, and now they're only a point away from the qualifiers.
So did you go to the last game?
I did, yes.
So you'll have seen our young starlet Donna James in action?
Yes, she was best player on the pitch, I think.
So what do you think? I mean, for example, when you were there, obviously you report on all sorts of football. I mean, was it a big turnout in terms of journalists, or is it just few and far between at these games?
There was a bigger turnout, I think, because Scotland are so close now to qualification. So they're only a point away from the playoffs, so there was a bigger turnout.
And I don't know how it works, but I mean, do you go to these things off your own back because you're interested, or it's because the papers have asked you to go to cover it?
A bit of both. I'm interested in it, so I'll call the papers if they're interested in a report and try and sell it to them.
As opposed to being told to.
If I can get a few papers to cover the expenses and what have you, then I can maybe make a few bob out of it. But I'm generally interested in it.
So the Scotland game got quite good coverage in most of the papers. I read most of them myself, and they did get very good coverage. But I mean, for example, leading up to the game, I mean, there was very little coverage. So obviously that means the turnout was only about 1,000 people.
I'd spoken to Lisa Brown at the SFA to try and promote it, try and get something going with many of the papers. It's very difficult. I think in the Sun and the Record, we usually have in teletext who I'll do some work for. We've written a feature on Pauline McDonald.
Oh right, yeah.
Former captain.
Ex-captain, yeah. So what's the solution? How do we get ourselves in the papers?
I think in there now, it's one of those catch-22 situations. You need to be successful to get the publicity.
So you think for the Scotland team anyway, we're halfway there?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's only a point to go. It's really in the driving seat.
So what about for the domestic side? I mean, obviously in terms of Glasgow City, we promote our games in our local newspapers, but I mean, I frequently try and phone the nationals, and unless we're doing outrageous things like calendars, and they're just not interested. I
know it's a difficult one to break down. You know, papers got to sell as well, and television companies, as you know, and they're looking for something with a crowd at it to generate that interest.
So what do you see the solution? Because from my point of view, we're hitting ourselves against a brick wall because we can't get in the papers because there's not big turnouts at our games, but we can't get turnouts at our games because we're not in the papers and we're not on TV and people don't know we exist.
Yeah, I think the best way is you have structured leagues and getting the leagues into the various papers.
So you just mean in terms of like league results and then just trying to build on that,
build
get something
it from
a bit
there,
more?
to make sure it's structured, and rather the sort of quirky things as you're saying, and be taken obviously seriously as a football team.
Well, I know the league is trying to do more of that, and I think actually we have a problem because we play on a Sunday, and getting things to the papers for the Monday, and the papers are always packed on the Monday as it is.
I remember the Channel 4 programme on women's football following the cup. And that got quite a good following.
But I mean, I think the inherent problem in Scotland, particularly England, is a wee bit better, but it's just because of the historic traditions of the game, then it's hard to be taken seriously. I mean, for example, I was at the Women's World Cup in the States. I don't know if you were there, but the press coverage was huge.
Phenomenal.
I mean, it was first thing on the news, first whole pages out in USA Today.
Before they won it.
I mean, in general, the coverage and support is huge. So how do we ever get to that level?
It's an interesting question. Hopefully after this championship there'll be a lot more.
I mean, do you think that the attitudes are a problem? I mean, I perceive it as America don't have a tradition of football, so they don't have any preconceived ideas about being a man's game. They just see something that they enjoy and the women happen to be good at it.
That's where you maybe find a lot of girls being offered scholarships from the Scottish team to go over there because they don't have as many or as much interest for men's soccer. It is a difficult one for them to break down. A lot of guys obviously play football or soccer as they call it up to a certain age, and then the scholarships are only for American football, baseball,
I know. Well, I know. For example, you're right. I mean, we are on the prospect of losing an awful lot of players. I think we've lost about half a dozen already to the States. And
it's difficult because there's no full-time football apart from Stennis Mute here, and there's only half a dozen girls. So.
I know, and even that. I mean, that's they proclaim they're not full-time. I mean, that's they go to college. You know, they get a grant like anybody else. But I suppose, I mean, obviously Fulham have led the way. I don't know if you read about that down south. With Mr. All Fired, but there's not many men willing to invest in Scottish men's football up here. So.
Well, once it takes off, within 3 seasons from now, you could have full-time professional football.
I mean, do you think, if, for example, we were able to advertise, I know our team tries to go around the local area, we're in the local press. I mean, do you foresee if people come to the games, you've been to the Scotland games, that it is an enjoyable sport and people will come back?
It does come down to economics. If there's a crowd of 2,000 or 3,000 turning out to watch an international, and you're getting that spin-off at the local level, then yes.
And what do you think? I mean, the Scotland game was £5 to get in. I mean, I think that's great value for the entertainment.
Well, it was a great game.
But you certainly, I mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but I mean, I don't foresee in the next couple of years with people like paying £20 odd to get into a women's game.
I can't see it depending on inflation.
Yeah.
But £20 to get into any game is quite a lot.
I know, they're turning up to see Partick Thistle for that every week.
Well, Dundee United have cut their costs.
Yeah, well, that's not being a Dundee United fan, I can see where that comes from.
Not being an Aberdeen fan.
Oh well, we'll wait till tomorrow.
I've actually been in the same office as her for about just over a year, but I've known her since she transferred up from Liverpool, which would be about 7 years, I would reckon. Well, I've never actually seen her play, but I hear she has played at a high standard and that she's a good player, but I've never actually seen her kick a ball. I'm sure she could beat me, but then again everyone else can. I'll watch games on television now, but I've stopped going. The biggest teams in Scotland are Celtic and Rangers. And when I would watch them play because they play the best football, but when I wouldn't pay to go and see them because my local team's Motherwell and I believe you should support your local team, but my local team's rubbish, so I stopped going to see them. No, I've never seen a women's football game. I've seen one game on television. I used to know a girl that played women's football and I used to abuse her about the standard of it, and she said it was great, and then I saw the game on television and then I abused her about the standard of it again. But generally, I have no objections to women playing any sport whatsoever, and I'm quite sure whatever sport they can play it better than me, because I'm certainly not an athlete. But I've never watched the game. Yeah, give it up. She's too old. She's an old woman trying to relive her youth, and she will not accept it.
Partick Thistle fan, so we don't get to many cup finals, so I'd be spending the day in the house, I think. When I get back home, I'll probably have something good to eat, something substantial to eat, and probably an early night, and that's it. Basically, make sure that my kit's all ready for tomorrow, so it's just a case of getting up and going. To let you know what's happening, these two platforms, 7 and 8, are going to be used for all the Rangers fans that are travelling to Mount Forest station. So these will be the two busy ones. The bins that you can see to the side there, it's because in Scotland there's a bylaw that means that you can't drink in public. So, and we've also got dry trains, so they're not allowed to take any alcohol onto the trains. So anybody that's got alcohol with them will not be allowed to travel, and that's somewhere for them to put it. Okay, so that's what's happening. And just wait and see. It's been fairly quiet up till now, been a bit surprised. Just hope it's not the calm before the storm. All the Rangers fans are the ones wearing orange, as I said earlier on. This is to do with the manager being Dutch and a couple of the players being Dutch. They've all started coming in, but they're coming in dribs and drabs. It doesn't seem to be the main body of support. I think you can expect that from 1 o'clock right up to about 2:15. It's just a case of waiting for them. Just now I take it they're in the pubs surrounding the city centre, so just wait and see what happens.